Don't let your current circumstances define what's possible for you. Expand your vision. Ask yourself, what would this look like if I scaled it to 10 times its size? How can I take what I do and make an impact, not just in my city, not just in my country, but around the world? The moment you start asking those questions, you step into a new level of success. You stop competing with the people around you and start playing in a league of your own. Number 11, win or learn. There is no losing. Success is not about winning every time. It's about growth, learning, and adaptation. The people at the top 0.01%, don't see failure the way most people do. They don't see it as a reason to quit or a sign that they aren't good enough. They see every experience, good or bad, as a lesson that moves them forward. They understand one thing very clearly. You either win or you learn. There is no losing. When something doesn't go your way, you have two choices. You can sit there feeling sorry for yourself, complaining about how unfair life is, or you can step back, analyze what happened, and take the lesson with you. The ones who make it to the top always choose the second option. They know that failure is nothing more than feedback. It's life telling you what works and what doesn't. It's an opportunity to adjust, improve, and come back stronger. Think about the most successful people in history. Do you think they got everything right the first time? No, they failed, they struggled, they made mistakes. But they never saw those mistakes as the end. Every loss was a stepping stone to something greater. Every setback was a setup for a comeback. They didn't let temporary defeats define them. Instead, they used them as fuel. If you want to be in the top 0.01%, you have to adopt this mindset. You have to stop fearing failure and start embracing it. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What could I have done differently? How can I use this to my advantage? Because the truth is, the people who win in the long run are the ones who learn the most along the way. Most people never reach their full potential because they let a single failure destroy their confidence. They take one loss and convince themselves they aren't good enough. They quit before they've even given themselves a real chance to succeed. But the best, they don't quit. They adjust, they evolve, they keep going. And that's why they win. Number 12, set goals that force growth. If you want to grow, if you want to reach levels most people can't even imagine, you have to set goals that force you to grow, not goals that are easy, not goals that you know you can hit without much effort. Goals that stretch you, push you, and demand the best version of you. Because that's the secret to success, constant, relentless growth. A weak goal is a dangerous thing. If your goals don't challenge you, they won't change you. If they don't scare you a little, they're not big enough. Too many people set goals that are within reach because they don't want to fail. They want to feel good about themselves by setting the bar low. But the problem is, when the goal is too small, there's no real motivation. There's no urgency. There's no fire. The best in the world don't play small. They don't aim for what's convenient or comfortable. They set goals that demand they evolve. They commit to something so big, so ambitious, that they have no choice but to become a stronger, smarter, more disciplined version of themselves. Because the goal isn't just about the outcome, it's about the transformation that happens along the way. Think about it. If you set a goal to make a little extra money, you might find a side job, work a few more hours, and that's it. But if you set a goal to become financially independent, to create a business, to build something that lasts, now you have to learn. Now you have to develop skills, take risks, and think long-term. That kind of goal forces you to grow. This is why most people never break out of their current situation. They set goals that keep them in the same place. They aim for just enough, instead of aiming for excellence. But if you want to separate yourself, if you want to be in that top 0.01%, you have to think differently. You have to push yourself in ways others won't. You have to chase something that forces you to level up. Every great achievement starts with a goal that seemed impossible at first. But here's the truth. It's only impossible until you grow into the person who can achieve it. That's the real challenge. Not the goal itself, but becoming the kind of person who can make it happen. If you stay the same, you'll never reach the next level. But if you're willing to grow, to change, to adapt, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So don't play it safe. Set the kind of goals that force you to evolve. Set goals that demand more from you, that make you uncomfortable, that require you to become better than you are today. Because when you do that, success isn't a matter of luck, it's a matter of time. Number 13, praise in public. criticize in private. If you want to build strong relationships, whether in business, leadership, or personal life, you need to understand one simple rule: praise in public, criticize in private. This principle separates weak leaders from strong ones, amateurs from professionals, and people who struggle from those who win respect and influence. Nobody likes to be called out in front of others. Nobody enjoys being embarrassed. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of public criticism, you know exactly how it feels. It doesn't inspire improvement. It doesn't make you want to do better. It only makes you defensive, resentful, or even humiliated. That's not how you help someone grow. That's how you push them away. But praise, that's different. When you acknowledge someone's efforts in front of others, when you recognize their hard work publicly, it fuels them. It makes them want to do more. It creates loyalty, motivation, and a culture of excellence. People thrive when they feel appreciated. And when that appreciation is shared openly, it amplifies their drive. Great leaders understand this. They don't wait until everything is perfect to give recognition. They find moments, even small ones, to call out the good. If someone on their team does a great job, they make sure others hear about it. If a friend or family member steps up, they acknowledge it. Because praise isn't just about making someone feel good. It reinforces behavior. It makes people want to keep improving. But when it comes to mistakes, when it comes to corrections, that's a different story. The best leaders, the ones who know how to bring out the best in people, don't embarrass others in front of an audience. If there's an issue, they handle it privately. They pull the person aside, have a direct conversation, and focus on solutions, not just problems. They don't humiliate. They educate. And let's be clear, this isn't about avoiding tough conversations. It's not about being passive or ignoring mistakes. It's about delivering feedback in a way that actually works. Because when someone is criticized publicly, their instinct is to protect themselves. They stop listening. They stop growing. But when you handle it one-on-one, with respect and honesty, you give them a real chance to learn. The best relationships, whether in business, leadership, or even personal life, are built on trust. And trust is built when people know they'll be treated with fairness and respect. If you follow this principle, you create an environment where people aren't afraid to step up, take risks, and push themselves. Because they know that if they succeed, they'll be recognized. And if they make a mistake, they'll be corrected in a way that helps them grow. That's how you build loyalty. That's how you lead. That's how you earn the respect of those around you. Give credit where it's due. Lift people up. And when it's time for correction, do it in a way that makes them better, not bitter. Number 14. Understand the 4 C's of leverage. Leverage is one of the most powerful tools you can use to accelerate success. It's what separates those who grind endlessly, with little to show for it, from those who multiply their results, without burning themselves out. If you don't understand leverage, you'll always be stuck doing everything yourself, working harder than necessary, and falling behind those who know how to work smarter. There are 4 key areas of leverage that high achievers use to their advantage: capital, collaboration, content, and code. Each one plays a critical role in scaling success. The first is capital. Money works for those who know how to use it. If you want to grow, you need to stop thinking about money as something you only spend, and start seeing it as a tool that multiplies your efforts. The wealthy don't work for money. They make money work for them. Whether it's investing in assets, hiring talent, or funding a business, capital is leverage that turns small moves into big gains. The second is collaboration. Trying to do everything on your own is a losing game. The top 0.01% understand that success is not a solo journey. They build strong teams, they delegate, and they align themselves with the right people. The bigger your vision, the more you need others to help execute it. Smart entrepreneurs, leaders, and high performers create networks of talent and influence that allow them to accomplish things at a scale they could never achieve alone. Then there's content. In today's world, content is leverage. A single video, a single piece of writing, a single message can reach millions of people. Instead of repeating the same thing over and over, the most successful people use media to amplify their ideas, their brand, and their business. It's why top leaders write books, create videos, launch podcasts. They understand that content works for them even while they sleep. And finally, there's code. Technology is one of the greatest multipliers of all time. Automating systems, building software, and creating scalable solutions allow businesses and individuals to grow exponentially. Instead of being stuck in manual, repetitive tasks, those who leverage technology free themselves up to focus on higher-level strategy and impact. The difference between those who struggle and those who rise to the top is how well they use leverage. If you rely only on your own effort, your growth is limited. But when you master capital, collaboration, content, and code, you put yourself in a position where your results compound over time. This is how high performers move faster, build bigger, and achieve more without working themselves into exhaustion. If you're serious about elevating your life, start thinking about leverage. Start asking yourself, how can I make my money work for me? How can I surround myself with the right people? How can I create content that scales my influence? How can I use technology to multiply my impact? The answers to these questions will change everything. Number 15, buy back your time. Time is the most valuable resource you have. It's the one thing you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can rebuild a business, start over, and recover from failures. But time, once it's gone forever. And that's why the people at the top, the ones who are truly successful, understand the power of buying back their time. Most people trade their time for money. They work an hourly job or run a business where they're involved in every little detail. They wake up, grind, handle every task themselves, and at the end of the day, they're exhausted. They tell themselves they're working hard, but what they're really doing is keeping themselves trapped in a cycle where they never have the time or energy to break free. The top 0.01% think differently. They don't just work harder, they work smarter. They understand that success isn't about doing everything. It's about focusing on what truly moves the needle and delegating or automating the rest. They buy back their time by hiring people, building systems, and eliminating distractions. They don't see outsourcing as an expense. They see it as an investment. If you want to level up your life, you have to start thinking about what your time is worth. If you're spending hours on tasks that someone else could do for a fraction of the value you bring, you're wasting your potential. Every minute you spend on something that doesn't require your unique skills is a minute you're taking away from the things that actually push you forward. Look at the most successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and leaders. They don't do everything themselves. They have assistants, teams, and systems in place to handle the things that don't require their direct involvement. They free up their schedule so they can focus on strategy, growth, and the things only they can do. That's not luck. That's intentional. Some people think they can't afford to buy back their time. They tell themselves, I don't have the money to hire someone, or I can't let go of control. But that's the mindset that keeps them stuck. You don't have to be a millionaire to start leveraging your time. Even simple things, outsourcing small tasks, automating repetitive work, or eliminating distractions, can have a massive impact. The goal is to shift from being the one doing everything to being the one who directs everything. That's how you scale. That's how you go from working in your life to working on your life. And when you make that shift, everything changes. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop burning yourself out. You start making decisions that create freedom instead of stress. Buying back your time isn't just about making life easier. It's about creating the space to think, to grow, and to build something bigger than yourself. It's about putting yourself in a position where you're not just surviving, but thriving. And when you do that, you don't just move faster, you move smarter, and you move with purpose. Number 16, follow the 10-80-10 rule. There's a pattern to success that most people don't see. The top 0.01% don't just work harder. They work in a way that maximizes their results. They know how to allocate their effort, energy, and focus where it matters most. One of the smartest ways to do that is by following the 10-80-10 rule. What does that mean? It means understanding where you bring the most value and where you don't. The first 10% of any project or goal should be where you step in and set the vision. That's where you lay the foundation. You figure out the direction, define the standards, and establish what success looks like. That's your role as a leader, whether it's in your business, career, or personal life. If you don't set the vision, someone else will, and you might not like the results. The next 80% is where you let go. This is where most people struggle because they think they need to control every step. They micromanage, they hover over every detail, but that's a losing game. The most successful people delegate. They trust capable hands to execute the plan. They surround themselves with people who can take their vision and bring it to life. They understand that if they try to do it all, they'll end up doing nothing at a high level. The final 10% is where they step back in. This is where they refine, improve, and optimize. They don't wait until the project is completely finished before they give their input. They come in at the end to make sure everything is polished, everything meets their standard, and nothing gets overlooked. That last 10% is where the difference between average and world class is made. Most people waste their energy in the middle. They get lost in the 80%, handling things that don't require their unique skills. They try to be involved in every step, and in the process, they burn out. That's why they never scale. That's why they stay stuck, wondering why their results don't match their effort. It's not because they aren't working hard. It's because they aren't working smart. The most effective people in the world don't do everything. They do the right things at the right time. They step in when their presence makes the biggest impact. And they step out when it doesn't. They don't just push harder. They build systems that allow them to operate at a higher level. They create leverage. And leverage is what separates those who stay average from those who rise to the top. If you want to break into that elite level, you have to stop doing everything yourself. You have to trust people. You have to build a team, whether that's in business, your career, or even just how you manage your life. You have to let go of the idea that success means controlling everything. The real key to success is knowing where to apply your focus and where to step back. Following the 10-80-10 rule doesn't just make you more efficient. It makes you unstoppable. It frees up your time, your energy, and your mind so you can focus on what truly moves you forward. It allows you to work less on the things that drain you and more on the things that drive you. And when you do that, you don't just succeed, you dominate. Number 17, think 10x, not 2x. Most people think too small. They play it safe. They set goals that feel comfortable, goals they know they can achieve if they just work a little harder. But that's the problem. The moment you set a goal you already know how to achieve, you've already lost. You're operating at the same level you're already at, and that's never going to create massive change. The top 0.01% don't think in small steps. They think in leaps. They don't ask, how can I double my success? They ask, how can I multiply it by 10? Because here's the truth. When you set a goal that's only slightly bigger than where you are now, you don't change much. You keep doing what you've always done, just with a little more effort. But when you aim for 10x growth, everything shifts. Your strategy changes. Your mindset changes. Your actions become radically different. If you want to go from making $100,000 a year to $200,000, you'll probably just work harder, pick up extra hours, maybe push a little more. But if your goal is to hit $1 million, you're forced to think in a completely new way. You realize you can't just work more hours. You have to create something scalable. You have to build systems, find leverage, and move beyond just working harder. That's the power of thinking 10x instead of 2x. Most people never do this because 10x feels overwhelming. It feels unrealistic. But that's only because they're looking at it through the wrong lens. They're trying to get to 10x by doing the same things they're doing now, just more of it. And that's never going to work. You don't get 10x results by making small adjustments. You get there by completely rethinking how you operate. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't just improve on what already existed. They created something entirely different. They looked at the way things were done and found a way to do it better, faster, and at a higher level. They weren't afraid to break the mold, to challenge what everyone else accepted as normal. That's what thinking 10x does. It forces you to look beyond what's possible right now and find a way to make it happen. When you aim higher, you start to see opportunities you never noticed before. You stop wasting time on things that don't truly matter because they won't get you to that level. You become ruthless with your focus, with your time, with your decisions. You stop playing the short game and start thinking long term. And when you do that, success isn't just possible, it's inevitable. This is the difference between people who stay stuck and those who break through. The ones who stay stuck are always making small tweaks, minor improvements, hoping that over time it'll add up to something big. The ones who break through decide that small improvements aren't enough. They go all in. They push beyond what seems reasonable. They take risks. They think bigger. And they refuse to settle for average. The question is, what are you aiming for? Are you playing small because it feels safe? Or are you willing to set a goal so big it forces you to become a different person? Because that's what true success requires. It's not about getting a little better. It's about becoming someone who operates at a completely different level. And that starts with how you think. If you want to be in the top 0.01%, stop thinking 2x. Start thinking 10x. Number 18, change your calendar every year to 10x growth. Most people go through life repeating the same year over and over again. They set the same resolutions, follow the same habits, and live by the same routines. And then they wonder why nothing ever changes. If you want to grow, if you want to reach that top 0.01%, you can't afford to live the same year twice. You need to change your calendar every single year to force growth. What does that mean? It means looking at your entire year and asking, what needs to change to take me to the next level? It means removing things that no longer serve you and adding things that push you forward. Because if you don't actively design your life, your old patterns will do it for you. Think about last year. How did you spend your time? Who did you surround yourself with? What habits did you stick to? What distractions did you allow? Now ask yourself, if you repeat that exact same year, will you get closer to your biggest goals? If the answer is no, then something needs to change. People who achieve massive success don't stumble into it. They create it by intentionally structuring their time, their environment, and their priorities to force growth. They don't just work hard. They work on the right things, at the right time, in the right way. Maybe last year you wasted too much time on things that didn't matter. Maybe you let the wrong people take up your energy. Maybe you didn't challenge yourself enough, and you stayed in your comfort zone. If you're serious about growth, you can't let that happen again. This year needs to look completely different. Start by changing your daily structure. If you spent too much time reacting last year, responding to emails, handling problems, dealing with distractions, flip it around. Block out time for your most important work first. Make your mornings sacred. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Look at the people in your life. Are they pushing you forward or holding you back? The top 0.01% surround themselves with people who challenge them, who raise their standards, who force them to think bigger. If your environment isn't making you better, change it. Audit your habits. The things you do every day determine your future. Are your habits aligned with the person you want to become? If not, they need to go. Success isn't about motivation. It's about consistency. And the only way to be consistent is to have the right habits locked in place. Finally, change your goals. If your goals from last year don't scare you anymore, they're too small. Set new targets that stretch you, that force you to grow. Make them big enough that you have to become a completely different person to achieve them. This is how you grow at an exponential rate. Not by hoping things will get better, but by forcing them to. By designing your life in a way that makes success inevitable. If you repeat last year, you'll get last year's results. If you want a different outcome, you have to change the way you operate. The best in the world are relentless about this. They never settle. They never get comfortable. Every year they look at their lives and ask, what needs to change? And then they make those changes. No hesitation, no excuses. That's why they keep winning. The question is, will you do the same? Will you take control of your time, your habits, your environment, and your mindset? Will you break free from repeating the same year over and over again? If you want to be in that top 0.01%, don't just set goals. Change your calendar, change your life, and never ever live the same year twice. Number 19, understand the 4 levels of luck. When we talk about luck, it's easy to think of it as something that just happens. Maybe you catch a break, or maybe you don't. It's random, right? But here's the truth. There's a lot more to luck than we're led to believe. In fact, if you want to reach the top 0.01%, you need to understand the 4 levels of luck and how they work. The first level of luck is what I call blind luck. This is the kind of luck where you just happen to be in the right place at the right time. You might meet someone who changes your life. You might find an opportunity you weren't even looking for. Or you might get a stroke of good fortune that seems completely random. Now, this is the kind of luck most people hope for. They think it's just about being at the right place, at the right time, with the right attitude. But here's the thing. Blind luck doesn't happen often, and it's not something you can count on. The second level of luck is what I call the luck of preparation. This is where you start to take control. You do the work, you prepare, you get good at what you do, and then when an opportunity comes your way, you're ready to grab it. You don't just get lucky by being at the right place, at the right time. You get lucky because you've put yourself in a position where luck can find you. This is the luck that comes when you've spent countless hours learning, practicing, and growing. This is the kind of luck you can build by working on your skills, your knowledge, and your mindset. Now, the third level of luck is where things get really interesting. This is the luck of creating your own opportunities. This is the luck that the top 0.01% understand deeply. Instead of waiting for a break to come your way, you go out and make your own. You put yourself in situations where you can create value, make connections, and build your own future. You don't wait for a lucky moment to fall into your lap. You create that moment through your actions. You do the work, you take risks, and you make things happen. You're no longer waiting for luck, you're creating it. But there's a fourth level of luck, and it's the highest level. This is the luck of being able to see and seize opportunities that others can't. It's about having the vision to recognize what most people overlook. It's about being able to see connections, patterns, and possibilities, where others only see problems. The top 0.01% don't just take action. They see things that other people miss. They spot opportunities before anyone else even knows they exist. To get to that level of luck, you need to train your mind to look beyond the surface. You need to be constantly learning, constantly evolving, and always on the lookout for the next big thing. You need to be so in tune with your goals, your industry, and the people around you that you can see opportunities that others miss. But let's be clear, none of these levels of luck happen by accident. They all require work, preparation, action, and vision are the foundations of creating your own luck. If you want to be in that top 0.01%, you can't wait for things to just fall into place. You have to make them happen. The problem is, most people are stuck at the first level of luck. They sit around hoping for things to work out, hoping for the right break, but they never take the steps to make it happen. The second level is where things start to shift. When you prepare and put in the work, you open up the doors to better opportunities. And if you want to reach the next level, you have to stop waiting for luck and start creating it. In the end, the key is simple. Don't rely on random luck. Don't sit around hoping for a break. Get to work, put yourself in the right situations, and start creating your own luck. When you do that, you won't just be successful, you'll be unstoppable. And the best part, the more you create, the more luck you'll have. It's a cycle that just keeps getting better. Number 20, use exposure therapy to overcome fear. Fear is a natural part of life. It's something we all experience, whether it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, or even fear of success. It's that knot in your stomach before making a big decision, or that hesitation you feel when you're about to take a leap into the unknown. But here's the thing, fear doesn't have to control you. It doesn't have to keep you stuck, holding back from reaching your full potential. In fact, the most successful people know how to face their fears, not avoid them. And you can too. The key is exposure therapy. Now, exposure therapy is something you might have heard of in the context of dealing with phobias, but it works just as well for life's everyday fears. The basic idea behind it is simple. You confront the fear over and over in a safe and controlled way until it no longer has the power to hold you back. This isn't about ignoring your fear or pretending it's not there. It's about conditioning yourself to become stronger and more resilient every time you face it. The more you expose yourself to what scares you, the less scary it becomes. It's like building a muscle. You don't get strong by avoiding the weight, you get strong by lifting it. The first step to overcoming fear through exposure therapy is acknowledging it. You need to understand what you're afraid of. It's easy to say you're scared of something like public speaking. But what's at the core of that fear? Are you afraid of being judged? Are you afraid of making a mistake in front of people? Are you afraid of being rejected? You can't start to deal with fear if you don't understand exactly what's driving it. You need to dig into the specifics, get to the root of it, and realize that in most cases, the fear is much bigger in your mind than it is in reality. Once you've identified the fear, the next step is to start taking small actions that will help you face it. If public speaking terrifies you, don't start by speaking to an audience of 1,000 people. Instead, begin by speaking in front of a mirror, then progress to a few friends, then maybe a small group, and slowly work your way up. With each step, the fear starts to lose its power. The more you practice and expose yourself to the fear, the less overwhelming it becomes. But it's not just about exposure to the fear itself. It's also about changing the way you think about fear. Most people avoid fear because they believe it's something to run away from. They believe that if they feel fear, it means they're doing something wrong. But the truth is, fear is a signal that you're growing. If you're not afraid, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. Fear isn't the enemy. It's a sign that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new. When you reframe fear this way, it becomes a powerful motivator. Every time you feel that nervous excitement, that little pit in your stomach, you should think to yourself, this is growth. This is progress. The fear that once held you back can now fuel you to take action. Instead of feeling paralyzed by fear, you can use it as a sign that you're on the right track. You're pushing yourself, challenging yourself, and striving for something greater than what you have right now. The key to using exposure therapy is consistency. It's not enough to face a fear once and then move on. You need to keep exposing yourself to it, keep challenging yourself until the fear no longer has the power to control you. That's how you build confidence and resilience. When you keep facing your fears day in and day out, it becomes easier to handle the discomfort. Over time, you develop a tolerance to fear, and it doesn't shake you as much as it used to. Remember, fear is not something to fear itself. It's simply a sign that you're growing, evolving, and moving toward your goals. Embrace it, lean into it. Use exposure therapy to take the fear out of fear. Because the truth is, every successful person has faced fear, and it's not their lack of fear that sets them apart. It's their ability to move forward in spite of it. So take that first step, even if it's small. With each step you take, you're not just facing your fears, you're conquering them. And once you do that, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Number 21. Give away value freely to build trust and influence. When it comes to building trust and influence, there's a simple but powerful principle that often gets overlooked. The more you give, the more you receive. Now, I'm not talking about giving with the expectation of getting something back right away. I'm talking about giving freely, giving without strings attached, and watching how it shapes your relationships, your influence, and your life in ways you never imagined. We live in a world where everyone is trying to take something. People want your time, your attention, your resources, your energy. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of trying to protect what you have, always looking out for yourself, and wondering how you can get ahead. But here's the thing. The most successful, influential, and respected people aren't focused on getting. They understand that the more value they give away, the more they attract, both in terms of opportunities and the people who trust them. Let me put it this way. When you give value to others, whether it's your knowledge, your time, your skills, or your support, you're building a connection, and connections build trust. People will remember that you didn't ask for anything in return when you help them. And when you give in a way that's genuinely helpful, not out of obligation or to gain something for yourself, you create a lasting impression. People trust those who are willing to give, because they know those people are reliable, selfless, and committed to adding value in the world. But it's not just about giving anything and everything. It's about giving what truly matters, what others need, and what you're uniquely equipped to provide. You've got something inside of you that others don't have. Your experience, your perspective, your skills, your story, they're all valuable. When you share them, whether in your work, your personal life, or your community, you're offering something no one else can. And this act of giving helps you build influence in ways that don't require manipulation or strategy. It's authentic and genuine. Think about the people in your life who you trust most, the ones you turn to for advice, support, or encouragement. They're the ones who've given to you, right? They've shared their wisdom when you needed it. They've been there when you were struggling. They've celebrated your victories as though they were their own. These people have built trust by giving, and over time that trust has created a powerful influence in your life. You don't forget them, because they've shown you that they care, that they're invested in your success. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if I give and I don't get anything back? Well, here's the beauty of this principle. The more you give without expecting something in return, the more you'll start to notice that good things begin to come your way. Sometimes that might be in the form of opportunities. Other times it might come in the form of support when you least expect it. But the most important thing to understand is that when you give freely and openly, you're not doing it for a direct return. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And in doing so, you'll attract the kind of people and opportunities that align with your values. The act of giving builds a network of trust around you. And let's be clear about one thing. This isn't just about being nice or generous. This is about creating real value, about investing in others in a way that's meaningful and impactful. You're not giving for the sake of it. You're giving because you believe that by helping others succeed, you succeed too. You're not looking to gain, you're looking to add something positive to the world. And in doing so, you naturally build the trust and influence that will ultimately come back to you. It's also important to note that trust and influence don't happen overnight. They require time, consistency, and a long-term perspective. But once you start giving, once you start contributing to others without expecting anything in return, you'll start to see the shift. People will recognize your genuine approach, and they'll be drawn to you. They'll want to work with you, collaborate with you, and support your endeavors. The impact of this is far-reaching. When you build trust through giving, you create a solid foundation for success, both personally and professionally. People will go out of their way to help you, recommend you, and open doors for you, simply because they believe in what you stand for and they trust you. Your influence will grow, not because you're manipulating the system, but because you've built real, authentic relationships based on trust and value. So as you go through your day, think about what you can give. What do you have that could make someone's life easier? What knowledge, experience, or skill could you share? How can you make a difference, no matter how small? Start with the intention to give, and watch how the world around you changes. Because when you give away value freely, you don't just build trust, you create the kind of influence that lasts a lifetime.
Don't forget to subscribe for daily motivational content.